right, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm taking you through Franz Schurmann's The Logic of World Power, piece by piece. But I'm being specific. I'm basically jotting down notes. What are the most essential passages, or at least phrases, that warrant analysis, or at least mentioning and thinking about and connecting the dots? Because Franz Schurmann connects what was American empire, both physically, economically, militarily, politically, but as well as ideologically, and what the ideology of American empire, that expansionism is, versus what China and Russia's ideology has, pretty much to this day, and it has become pretty much tamer since then, less defensive even. Anyway, so and this, the lesson really is this structure still exists. They may not do all of the same things, but many people go to say, oh, but those were the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like, the CIA doesn't do that anymore. The American government doesn't do that stuff anymore. Yes, they do. I mean, 9/11 was not that long ago, folks. That was pretty dark. Those were pretty dark times, and I know that only from a historical perspective. I have family members, of course, who lived through it. As far as like an analysis point of view, right? But those were some pretty nasty times. That was not very long ago. I digress. So I'm going on to the prologue now. And yeah, so these are the notes I have as far as the passages that I think are important. So just take a listen. This intro for understanding 1945 America, their role, their ideology is very important. Since the end of World War II, the prime mover on the world scene has been the United States of America. It was America that tried to unify the war-shattered world in 1945 under a Pax Americana, like the Pax Romana of ancient Rome. Failing to include Russia in the New World Order, America turned its efforts toward creating a world order anchored in the advanced industrial countries of Western Europe and eventually Japan. Brandishing its monopoly of armed might to keep Russia contained, America constructed its Imperium Americanum, envisaging it as a three-tiered structure. At the top, America, with its vast political, economic, and military power. In the middle, the advanced industrial countries. And at the bottom, the border nations, which would gradually rise through aid, trade, and investment under the protection of the American Eagle. Now, this next sentence, very similar to times we're in right now. Think Middle East, think Yemen, think Gaza, think Israel. In the mid-1960s, America became enmeshed in a barbarous war in Vietnam, to which any utilitarian calculation would have assigned small importance to the scheme of empire. That's a lot of the analysis we're getting right now, that all this violence, this ridiculousness, this genocide is so unimportant. Israel isn't strategically important. That's what John Mearsheimer says. I would say to empire managers, to those that are the managers of the system, both domestically but as well as globally, they would assign it heavy influence, because again, the goal is to have global control at all times, obedience in all regions, or at least maintain enough power so that the regional power, like Iran, for example, in the Middle East, is not the actual regional power. Israel's the only a regional power because of us. They're like our little rabid dog that kind of attacks its neighbors every once in a while, in the name of defense of itself, but it's really because of the United States and what the U.S. wants. He goes on, for all its massive firepower, American conventional military power was stalemated in Vietnam, and its strategic power matched by the Russians. Above all, the fulcrum on which the entire world order moved, the American government was threatened by internal power struggles that seemed to produce operational paralysis.